little behind schedule here, so I want to bring up Dave Gilbert, who I'm sure you all recognize from his presentation 2 demo nights ago, which launched him to stardom. Dave Gilbert, Blackwell Unbound.
My name is Dave Gilbert, and I'm here to present Blackwell Unbound. And I don't use PowerPoint. I actually used my game's engine to create my presentation. Glorious 320 by 240 resolution. So the art geeks amongst you will know how cool this is. Anyway, before I get started within the game proper, I want to talk to you a bit about the history of it. I'm a total indie developer. I do everything by myself. I hire some freelance artists, and the newbie developers amongst you, might find some of this interesting, some of the mistakes and flubs I made in the course of making this project. You could either learn from it, find it interesting, or laugh at me later on. It's all up to you. Blackwell Unbound is the 2nd episode of a series called Blackwell. I first came up with the idea back in 2002. All I knew was I wanted to write a game about a ghost. So I opened up MS Paint and I started drawing a ghost. I used all my artistic skill and talent, and I created this guy. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. I love this guy. I wanted him to be like Rat Pack-ish, like 30s, 40s. He's got fedora, he's got the hat, he's got attitude. He's awesome. I love this guy. And I named him, I named him Joey Malone, so he was born in 2002. So that was Joey in 2002, and this is Joey Malone from 2006. So personally, I prefer this guy, but what are you going to do? So he finally appeared in a game after about 4 years of thinking, what am I going to do with this guy, in a game called the Blackwell Legacy. And the story is basically this family, named of Blackwell, and this ghost is bonded to a member of their family every generation. It started in the 60s. He was bonded to this woman, and when she died, he ended up being bonded to her daughter. And then after she died, he was bonded to her niece, which is this woman in the picture right here, whose name is Rosangela Blackwell. And their deal is that they have to investigate supernatural mysteries and free tormented ghosts and all sorts of ghostly, what's-its, and that's sort of their deal. So this first game was released in December, and here's some screenshots. It took place in New York City. Very old school, Monkey Island, Gabriel Knight kind of feel. This is Washington Square, the Brooklyn Bridge. So that was released in December of 2006. You want any more details, you gotta buy the game, sorry. But it was like 4.5 months of just insane development. This was, I did this, aside from some freelance artists, I did this all by myself, programmed it all by myself. So when it was finally over, all I wanted to do was freaking sleep. So after I woke up a week later, I thought to myself, okay, now what do? I didn't have anything planned, which was kind of a mistake. But I figured, you know what? I got a couple of weeks, no problem. A couple of weeks, I'll have another design, and I'll be good to go. 4 months later, I finally finished the design. And this sounds a little sad, but this is something that the newbie developers amongst you might take to heart. I totally underestimated how much work would be involved in supporting the game I just released. All of the tech support, just the community, the forums, answering emails, dealing with sales and marketing. This was almost a full-time job in itself. I had very little time to design the next game. And finally, 4 months down the line, I finally developed it. I finally had the design document, and I thought it was really good. I sat down with my freelance art team, and we all talked about it. The game is called the Blackwell Convergence. And after we sat down with this design document, we realized one thing. The game was too darn big. This game was going to take a long time to make. And by this point, it was going to take at least a year to make this game, and that was just way too long. Being an indie guy, only releasing one game at a time, a 1.5 years between products is not going to work. So I had to cut a little bit out of it. So there was a section within the game. There was a bunch of flashback sections where you control someone from the previous generation, the main character's aunt, where you investigate something that is loosely connected to what the present-day character is investigating. It was cool, and I liked it a lot, but when push came to shove, I had to get rid of it. So I got rid of it. But there was still one more problem. 4.5 months had gone by since I released my last game, and it was going to be at least another 6 months before this next one was going to be done. So much time had passed. The sales just weren't as strong anymore. So this equaled me freaking the heck out. I didn't quite know what to do. Couldn't envision me having enough money to support the studio until the next game was released. The only thing I could do was come up with something and release it like very soon. But the prospect of designing a whole new game was just so overwhelming because I just spent 4 months designing something. But I had that little chunk that I had cut out. So I took a look at it and said, you know what? This works really well as a standalone game. So I took that and I fine-tuned it a little bit, and Blackwell Unbound was born, essentially. I got an artist to do some sketches. This is the main character. Her name is Lauren. She's a chain smoker. I like the middle one here. She kind of looks like Michael Jackson over here. But, it took place in the 70s, so I got to have a lot of vintage clothes, and these are the two main characters here. There's the ghost, and there's the main character. I wanted, in order to facilitate getting it out quickly, I deliberately wanted to keep the graphics more simple. So I hired this artist who was a college kid off for the summer. Her name is Erin Robinson. She had a very simple but very visually interesting style. So I hired her to do this, and this is Roosevelt Island. This is a construction site in Midtown, and since it takes place in the 70s, I figured it was accurate. I included the World Trade Center here. So this is 1973. And why aren't you moving forward? Yeah, and I also got some cool 70s hairdos, so that's pretty cool. So anyway, that's Blackwell Unbound. That's kind of how it started. So now that you've heard me babble on enough, let's get into the game itself. Hold on. Is there a sound? Oh, yeah. You might want to can you turn this up a bit? Thanks. So I'll show you the opening, and then we'll kind of skip around, and I'll show you some of the features of the game, and then we'll break for some questions. So let's start off.
Infinity. I've been told it's beautiful, but I don't think it's anything special. But when you live like me, most things become quite ordinary. Life, death, tormented souls, it's all the same to me. Sometimes I wonder if anything will ever surprise me again. Sometimes I wonder if I even care.
All right, so that's the intro. We can skip all the credits here. So this is the main character's apartment.
It's stay out.
Oh, hey, you know I don't like that. What's your beef anyway?
I am not talking to you.
Oh, promises, promises.
Okay, so this is the, there's a little bit more to this, but we didn't have to see that, so I just skipped all through that. Here we go. We're playing Lauren Blackwell here, and like most old school adventure games, you can walk around, you can look at stuff,
Today's paper.
you can interact with stuff,
We've already looked through this paper. We don't need any more leads.
walk around, and one thing I wanted to do in this game that I did not do in the previous game, you played a different main character, and you also had the ghost, but one of the main criticisms was that the ghost, you couldn't control the ghost. He just kind of followed you around, and you couldn't really, every time you did anything, it was nothing that the player could control. So I really wanted you to be able to control Joey in this game. So if you hit the tab key, you can switch over to Joey, whoops, and he can suddenly start interacting with stuff.
Man, that is an old coat. I think soldiers wore it during the Civil War.
So that's these two characters. And one interesting thing about the character of Lauren, and this is a very, oh, look, she's smoking. She started smoking. And she'll walk with the cigarette, and she'll talk with the cigarette.
I tried growing flowers in there once. Now, it's an ashtray.
And it's a very subtle thing, but it's something I really like, because the character is very neurotically, like, it has this very addictive, self-destructive personality, and I think the smoking really helps. Plus, there's coffee mugs everywhere.